Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I decided to film a story time video basically on my journey dealing with anxiety and depression. I wasn't sure if I wanted to film this video or even post this video just because of the fact that this stuff is very personal to me and I wasn't sure if I wanted to share it with the whole world, but I decided I was going to just because of the fact that I know a lot of people deal with this stuff and it is not easy to deal with. So if you're going through depression or anxiety or suicidal thoughts or anything like that, just know that you're not alone and that you can get through it. So I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit of my story. I'm not going to get too into detail because I would literally be sitting here forever. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit of what happened. If you want to hear about my story dealing with this stuff, then just keep on watching. So basically, this all started when I would say in middle school, leading up until high school. So middle school, I really was body shaming myself and I was always comparing myself to other girls. I was having problems with my acne and I was never fat. I was never overweight or anything like that, but some reason I looked in the mirror and I always felt fat and I always felt like I wasn't skinny enough or I wasn't pretty enough, and that really caused me to become depressed and just really insecure with myself, just because I thought that I wasn't pretty and that I wasn't good enough and that I was never going to get anyone. So basically from that point I just really was insecure and I was not confident in my own skin. With all that stuff in middle school, I carried on to high school. I just never felt pretty. But then my problems were getting worse because I tried to get myself into relationships. And as bad as this sounds, I tried to get into relationships thinking that some guy would make me feel special or make me feel some type of way because I knew that I couldn't love myself, so maybe someone else could love me. And yeah, I started talking to this guy, and at the time I was like 15 or 16 and I think he was like 19 or 20. So there was a little bit of an age difference there, and of course it wasn't very much, but it was not okay with my mother at all. When she found out, she basically wanted me to cut all ties with this guy, didn't want me talking to him, anything like that, because he was just too old with like legal stuff and like that. Like if we did anything, he could get in trouble, stuff like that. So basically I told him what my mom said, like we wasn't allowed to talk anymore and stuff like that, and it just got really bad from there. Of course I didn't want to give up because I felt like I loved this guy. I felt like I was head over heels for him. I cared for him so much and everything like that. I started doing bad things such as sneaking out of my house, and of course my mom eventually found this out, and when she found out, she basically grounded me and I was literally not allowed to do anything. I basically could only go to school, come home, and go to work, and that was it. And she made sure that I was only at school, work, or home. And this really made me feel depressed because I was literally cut off from basically everything. I was stuck at home all the time. I had no phone. I couldn't do anything. So I was basically sitting in my room just depressed. So whenever I went back to work, like the next day, after she had like grounded me and taken my phone and everything, I explained to him, because we had worked together, that, you know, my mom took my phone and stuff like that, so that's why I haven't been talking to you, blah blah blah. So whenever I told him that my mom had taken my phone and stuff, he was like, okay, well, I'll get you a phone and then we can talk to each other. But he said to promise him that my mom wasn't going to find out, and of course I was like, yeah, whatever, she's not going to find out. So we did hide that for a while, but within like a month or so, she ended up finding out about that, and she ended up taking that phone and basically cut all ties off from him, and we now had no way to speak to one another. So we had no way to speak to one another unless we were at work together, and even then she had called my work and like made sure that we were not around each other, like when we were not speaking to each other. So that basically just like felt like it ruined my life. I know people will deal with situations differently, but I'm a very sensitive person, and dealing with heartbreak and breakups and stuff like that really was not my cup of tea. I became really depressed whenever our ties were cut off and I could not talk to him. I literally felt like the world was ending. I didn't know what to do, and after that I started doing things like cutting and self-harm and stuff like that. And then one night I was so depressed. It was probably had been like 2 weeks, and I had not really talked to him, and I just didn't feel the reason to live anymore. So I decided to take a handful of my antidepressants, and I did this all in my bathroom. When I did that, I instantly had a reaction, and I instantly became dizzy. I lost my vision a little bit, and I'm pretty sure I passed out because I literally had like blacked out, and then I woke back up. And of course, my mom didn't know anything was going on. I think she was out in the kitchen or something, and whenever I had woke up, I was like not feeling good at all. So I went out and told her what I had did. I didn't want to tell her, obviously, but I just needed to because I was not feeling good. So when I told her, she instantly rushed me to the ER. And from there, I had to talk to a crisis worker. And basically, he went over questions that had to do with how I was feeling, suicidal thoughts, if I had any plans and stuff like that. And so basically, I was 100% honest with him. I told him at the time I did not want to live anymore. I was feeling depressed. I was suicidal. Like, I didn't want to be here. And so from there, I was taken by ambulance to a mental facility, and there I was treated. I got back on another antidepressant medication, and basically there was other kids there that was dealing with kind of the same things that I was going through, or worse. And so these people, I had to interact with them, and we did group things, group activities and stuff like that. And then after a week or two, I was sent home. Obviously, I was not feeling the greatest, and I kind of lied to the doctor there. I told him that I was not feeling suicidal and that I was ready to go home. So from there, I was sent home. Still not feeling 100%, but still feeling a little bit better than it was. And after getting sent home, I got my phone and stuff back. And I still continued to talk to this guy, even though I know I shouldn't have, and I just knew that it wasn't going to be good. So eventually we did cut things off, and I distanced myself from him. And I'm going to be honest, it was one of the hardest things to do, just because it was really hard for me and I was still attached to him, but I just knew that it was the best thing to do. So after all that, I eventually moved on. It took a while, but I moved on. And I found someone else. I found happiness again. You know, I was actually doing things. I wasn't depressed, and I just felt better. But then a few months into this relationship, my mom did not like this boy, and things were just not good. I started to be really ignorant to my mother. I started being very rude and not caring what she thought about him, and basically saying like how I felt, and I was just not nice at all. So my mom had enough of it with all the boy problems and everything like that, and my mom kicked me out of the house at 17, 18. And there I was lucky enough to have my boyfriend at the time and his parents, because they took me into their house, and I lived there for a few months. And with living there, we kind of realized that we weren't meant for each other. We fought all the time, and it just wasn't good for either of us. So that put me in another depressive state, because I obviously, when he broke up with me, I didn't really feel like I was welcome back at home. And I, again, wanted to not be here. So I tried to do things, and I told my mom, like, I called her, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, I need to go back to the mental facility or something, because I don't know what to do. And of course, she told me that I could come back home, but there were going to be rules and that I needed to follow them, and that if I didn't, then like I couldn't live there. So basically I came back home. I was still on my antidepressants and I was feeling a little bit better, but obviously still very depressed because I did not deal with heartbreaks very well, and it was just a really hard time for me. But after that, I eventually moved on. I was doing good, but I haven't really dealt with anything like that recently that has caused me to feel that way. I still get depressed sometimes and I still get sad and stuff like that, but I haven't been in the state that I was where I was feeling suicidal. That was pretty much my story on some of the things that I've dealt with not feeling confident in myself and just not feeling good enough, and then dealing with guys and heartbreaks and stuff like that that have caused me to want to commit suicide or cause self-harm to myself just because I was not feeling worthy. But I just wanted to put this out there because I know a lot of people deal with it, and I just wanted people that deal with this to let them know that they're not alone and that you are beautiful, you're worth it, and I'm living proof that you can get through it, because I went through some really hard times in my life and I got through it even though I didn't think I could, but I'm still here, 20 years old, and I'm still pushing. So don't give up, and just remember that there's always someone that you can talk to. Go to counseling, talk to your friends, talk to your family. Don't bottle all your emotions up inside, and don't be afraid to talk to somebody, because if you're bottling all these things up inside and you're not talking to people, like, that's really going to hurt you, and you don't want that. You need to talk to somebody. Just know that there are people that are there for you, and there's people that care for you and that love you, and I have learned that along this journey. Alright guys, well, that concludes this video of my story, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and thanks for listening. Bye.